The aims and objects of the Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation are set out in Article 6 of the trust deed. That starts off by saying, I quote a legal jargon, the foundation shall promote peace, unity, and people-centered development in Africa, and in furtherance of this chief object, but without prejudice to its generality, the foundation shall also. The promotion of peace, unity, and people-centered development in Africa. The promotion of peace, unity, and people-centered development in Africa. I firmly believe that the future of Africa will be grim indeed if we do not try hard to promote those objectives. We need peace within nations and peace between nations. And we need unity within nations and between nations. The inheritance of diversity in Africa is a blessing which we must preserve and promote. But it has to be diversity of a basically united people and a basically united continent. The rule is the same for our peoples and our continent. A house divided against itself shall not stand. And we have to fight against the poverty and underdevelopment of our countries and our peoples. For ultimately, poverty and underdevelopment will undermine peace and unity within our nations and between our countries. But development which promotes peace and unity and is not itself a cause of strife and disunity among our peoples has to serve the well-being of all our peoples. It has to be people-centered. The promotion of those objectives is the main aim of the Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation. But Clause 6 of the objectives also states, as one of the aims of the foundation, to promote the study of the principles adopted and practiced by Mwalimu Julius K. Nyerere throughout his life. That would have been fine for me if it had left out the words "and practiced." Or if the whole thing had waited until I had left to join my ancestors. There are many good and honest people who believe that those ideas which in this country are associated with my name are now dead and should be properly buried. You will not be surprised to hear that I disagree. Great ideas do not die so easily. They have a habit of keeping on nagging. And every human society in history ignores them at its own peril. And I can say this without inhibition or pretended modesty, because in a very real sense they are not my ideas. I never invented them. I'm simply a believer, like many other believers in the world and in human history. I believe in the equality and dignity of all human beings, and the duty to serve their well-being as well as their freedom in a peaceful and cooperative society. I am an ardent believer in the freedom and welfare of the individual. As I speak to you now, I'm asserting my own individuality. But I also believe that what gives humanity to our individuality is a sense of community and fellowship with all other human beings, wherever they may be. Binadamu wote ni ndugu zangu. That was not something that was said lightly. It came from a firm and profound belief in the nature and dignity of the animal called the human being. I repeat, those ideas are not mine, but I am a believer. I have articulated them and will continue to articulate them with passion. So I can only be thankful that an institution established to promote peace, unity, and people-centered development in Africa has the promotion of those ideas among its objectives. So I hope that in studying my practices, people will be kind, but also honest. Tanzania can learn from my mistakes as well as from our aims and achievements. If the Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation is to be useful to the people of this country and to Africa, its real job will be to hold fast to the principles themselves, and on the basis of those principles, to judge the past in its own context, and to make practical recommendations about the future in the light of the circumstances and knowledge currently prevailing. In trying to do those things, it will need to be as objective as possible. Individual and institutional honesty and scholastic integrity, these must mark all the work of this institution. Dialogue among people and governments, like the sharing of experiences, action-oriented programs for peace, unity, and people-centered development, and the dissemination of information. These are the main purposes of this foundation.